One that sold 1,000 tragedies, holding a hand that's loved every part of me. A lady comes and tells me that I gotta leave. Right away, everybody is the enemy. Deep breaths from the room where I watch you lie. Any beat from your heart gets me.
Hey, all right, it's 6:30. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at TeePreLive.com. This is the 6:30 Club, where I go over some of the narratives, I go over what I'm looking at, we discuss certain time frames, we try and make some active cash flow, we try and position for the midterm, long term. Sometimes we try and stay out of trouble, but mostly I try and teach you guys how to develop your own process, so this way you can approach the market every day with a plan and a routine that you love, so you can do it and perhaps have some longevity in this career. I've been doing this for 22 plus years, which isn't easy to do. So I show you a little bit on how I can sit here for 3 hours, and it kind of goes by like that because I enjoy it. So anyway, let me say what's up to some of my dogs around the world. What do we got? We got Hobo's in the house first. That's the disclosure. I'll let you guys look at the chart of the cues while I'm getting ready to go. We got San Antonio in the house, P-Train. Always consistent. We got Armenia in the house. What up, Brits? What up, New City? Caracas. Good morning, Vietnam. Remember that movie back in the day? That was, what's his face? He was a comedian. My goodness, he passed away. Nanu Nanu. I've had the little mental lapse. Someone help me out. Who is the actor from Good Morning Vietnam? What up, Connecticut? What up, the Twister? Yes, Robin Williams. There you go. Good Morning Vietnam! I was like 13. Anyway, what up, Virginia Beach? What up, Rochester? It's amazing how many people have passed away from depression and mental illness, you know. So that's why we also just, you know, besides training, you got to keep your mind straight, strong, do healthy things to make yourself feel good. Because even guys that are worth millions and billions, they suffer from that kind of stuff. He was a funny guy. What up, Charleston? How you doing? We got Motiversity, exactly. Motiversity is a website I listen to every day. Even this morning, I did The Hustler. Okay, I was in the sauna today. I was thinking about why I didn't go home as long as I should, but then I was thinking, you know what, I'm going to go over reasons why you didn't have that many clues to be long overnight. But at least, you know, there were clues not to be short after the move we've seen down in the past week or so. What up, Billy? How you doing? All right, it is 6:33. It is Tuesday. It is August 30th. I'm going to lower the music down a little bit, and I'm going to go over a few little thoughts. On how I approach certain days to figure out how I want to navigate, who has control, how I like to, you know, basically maneuver active sequences. So I think a lot of us traders have evolved into, you know, everyone's like, Red Dog, are you a day trader? I'm like, yes, I put on most of my trades during the day, and that's when I actively maneuver my share size and my positions. But if, you know, I consider myself a little PM, like a mini portfolio manager now. Anyone who's been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years, you're not just knick-knacking for cash flow. That's what the computers do. What you try and do is you try and figure out how you can make the most money from active sequences based on your skill set. So for me, not even going over any of the long-term stuff, I have an active account, a swing account, a box account, and an option account. I try and use all 4 different accounts to make money, you know, during certain parts of a sequence. So now the question is, where are we? You know, if you look here at the cues, okay, right here, you know, we were in a very nice active sequence to the long side that started in July. Yes, we put our low in June, but really right here when we broke this descending trend line and we had that red dog reversal at 280, that put us in an active sequence to the upside. Here was your first move. Here's when we held all the moving averages. Then literally we were above the 8-day moving average all the way up to here. So that went literally for 5 weeks. I did pretty well, and so did the Alpha team, and so did you guys from the 630 Club, trying to hold multiple positions, massaging them, rotating through chart patterns, because that was the active sequence to the upside. Then all of a sudden it changed. Changed right around here when we broke below 326. Broke below 326, that was the spot finally where the active bear said, hey, you know what, we're going to probably take control again because we had such a big move off of those lows. You could have made money short there. I was selling a lot of premium, whatever. Let's go. Then all of a sudden you had your gap down, so that was your downside follow through. Then we had a little bit of an oversold bounce, and then this was Fed Day. Fed Day, you know, basically Powell said there's going to be pain and sacrifice. Okay, pain and sacrifice means, you know, they have a little bit more to go. or a lot more to go, or more than what people would have thought for a soft landing. But anyway, so here we were yesterday. So let me take a closer look here. So if you look right here yesterday, there wasn't that much of a clue right here, to be that long, right? You didn't have a bottom tail, you didn't have a red dog reversal. All you had is a doji that even closed not even green. So with that being said, from 326 down to 303, 23 points lower, okay, with the oscillator of minus 56 that gets oversold to minus 40, at least it told you, hey, maybe I shouldn't be overly hedged. Maybe I shouldn't be that short. That's why in yesterday's note I said yesterday it's hard to press, but not exactly sure how long you can get. So today, you look here, the Qs are up 370. It was in the end of the day, I was trying to be long the Qs and the SPYs, and I actually lost a little bit of money doing that. So the way I went synthetically long is I sold 397 puts in the SPYs, but I'll get to that. So either which way, I didn't hold my Qs. I had them the last hour, and the way it closes, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to wait. Maybe we are going to see, 296 to 298 first. So anyway, you can't cry here, okay? All you could do is maneuver. 308.12. So what is 308.12? 308.12 is above yesterday's high and the post-Jackson Hole low. So anyone who's still short is probably going to short a little bit more and try and trade around it. Anyone who's not long is going to say, oh, how do I play this? And they might have a little FOMO. So if the market participants today could keep it above 307.50, which would trap some late shorts, which would trap some people who didn't cover or whatever, and then some people want to be long, then perhaps there's a move to 311 to 313. Okay, this is your true resistance area. If we were to get from here to here, right there, you're still in the bottom half of this big wide range bar. The active bears are still in control, but that is your oversold bounce to burn off the oscillator from minus 56 closer to neutral. So if you're thinking, like maybe you did it perfectly, maybe you got short on the red dog reversal or shorted here and covered yesterday and say, okay, I'm going to wait to reshort a bounce for maybe an H cell setup. Okay, but if you start doing it too early, like if you short the open and all of a sudden things don't come in and they hold them here after a move from 334 or from 320 or below this, there's room to here. So some people will start shorting too early and get into too much pain, and then they don't know where it could go, so they're not mopped out, so they don't stay the course, and then they're right a day later. So anyway, my thought is, do we get above and stay above 307.50? If we do, then there's room to about 311 to 313. So for me, I'm not short anything right now. Maybe, I don't think it happens today, but today's Tuesday, the jobs report's not till Friday, so this market could do an oversold bounce ahead of the jobs report that is Friday, so it could go for a few days. So for me, I probably won't sell premium higher or look to short unless we get to this spot. Even if we get above 307.50, and then come back below it, I don't know how much I'm going to short, but unless I see a divergence. What's that? Meaning like all of a sudden the Qs push higher and Microsoft doesn't go up anymore, or Apple doesn't go up anymore, or Meta doesn't go up, then maybe I'll short one of those versus a 5 15-minute high. Like yesterday, I was buying versus a 5 15-minute low. In the first 30 minutes, a lot of things went green, and a lot of people made some nice cash flow tactically. So today's the opposite. But on the first up day after a move like this, sometimes you want a cute fade for things to go from green to red. You get caught short because you're too early. So anyway, this would be pivot resistance. So in order to have a day, above yesterday's high to the upside, it's got to get above and stay above. And then you want to map out a room, which is right here. This is the prior low. Here's your moving average. So this would be, a pretty big resistance area. Now, if not today, into the jobs report, if we get a bigger move, here's 315.76, which is kind of like the line in the sand. That would be the rubber match spot. That all of a sudden, if they start taking back this, then it would say, hey, I'm more neutral versus the active bears having power because the active bears haven't been able to reject price. So PS, that's how you think about who has control here. So with that said, first step is, do the bulls have enough power to get above and stay above 307.50? Okay, and the next is, if it does, then perhaps it can squeeze to that area, and then you can map out places for the same type of situation for Apple and Microsoft. There's news at night that Tesla is trying to get rid of their Twitter acquisition again, so you'll see if that relative strength holds.
So that's the Qs. So that's important. Yesterday, the SPYs also really didn't give you much of a reason to be super duper long, considering that the way it closed. But it did close a little bit better than the Qs because energy was so strong. So if you go to the SPYs here, okay, let's refresh this. For some reason, trend signal is having a little bit of a problem here. Let's see. Yesterday was a little testy also. Hold on. We'll wait a second. Let's see while we're waiting here, let's see what Tesla's doing, because there was just a headline that Elon is trying to say, hey, Twitter is a fugazi with too many robots, and they're not taking them out for one. Yes, Oxy has been great. That's something it's been a swing trade for me since before Montauk. Yesterday I did add URA, which was a uranium play, which hopefully I can get to. Here is Tesla right here, and I don't know what's going on, why this is still. So let me exit out and figure out maybe I could refresh it. If I can't refresh it, then we'll just chat a little bit, and then we'll get on our little merry way. Okay, I'm going to sign in. Here we go. That's the Qs. Can we get to the SPYs? Hey, look at that. Red Dog could do it without Brandon. I miss my little red pup. Let's get rid of these moving averages. So now here are the SPYs. Okay, the SPYs actually had a little bit of a green close because it wasn't as far off the lows because energy was so strong. So here, okay, what was yesterday's high? So the same drill. I do this drill with everything. Okay, that is how I prepare for the morning. That is why I'm up at 4:45. That is why I can maneuver pretty damn fast. So anyway, this is what? This high here is 405.84. This low is a little bit before that. So this is your spot. Can the SPYs get above and stay above that spot after the first 15-30 minutes? If so, then this is 411.39, and then this was 414. Okay, so this would be, this would probably be kind of like the same resistance zone that I just showed you. Maybe you want to, put a little bit of the 410 there or something. But either which way, if it gets above there, then it's got to get approved through this moving average or that one. I would say if you just want to talk about a rubber match spot, okay, if the bears want to keep control over the next week or so, now this was already a stop there, you would say this low here is what? This is 414. This low here is like 411. So I know it's a zone, but 411 to 414 would be a spot that if the bears want to see a test of the lows in the next month, they cannot lose control of this active sequence by letting the bulls reclaim this spot. So this is resistance area. Okay, and then you could probably listen to Jake from TrendSpider. He'll show you like some of the volume raindrops and all that kind of stuff. I'm not that sophisticated. All I know is you had an awesome active sequence to the upside here that ended when we went below and stayed below that 424. Then the bears kept the ball, and now this is just a bounce attempt. Okay, here is your room to bounce back up, and this is the area that you better be careful, not getting giddy if you made money in an oversold bounce, and that's all it was. So one of the things we talked about yesterday a little bit is that how crypto's been a little bit of a leading indicator. So I'm thinking to myself this morning when I'm doing all my reps, besides selling some SPY puts to collect some income, which I will have for Wednesday, for tomorrow, why didn't I keep the Qs and the SPYs? Because I was trying to be long the Qs and SPYs into the close. I'm like, Bitcoin is bouncing, Ethereum is bouncing. Usually that's a little bit of a leading indicator, and the SPYs and the Qs were a wet blanket into the close. So meanwhile, let me just show you what I mean. Because traders can only use clues, right? And yesterday, if you look at Ethereum, okay, Ethereum had a decent bounce back. Ethereum, took back. If you go like this, Ethereum came in. Remember, it broke its rising channel here at 1815. That told you risk off. That helped you figure out that the S&P cash and the Qs from a little while ago was ready to come in. But then yesterday into the close, all of a sudden Ethereum took out these two candles. Okay, so this candle was above this too high here. I'm like, Ethereum's bouncing, Bitcoin's bouncing. Maybe we're gonna get an oversold bounce ahead of the jobs report. So P.S. that was something as a trader to think about, because that relationship's been there that could have given you confidence to put on a little risk overnight, or at least not be short. At least say, hey, you know what? Like Ethereum just came in from 2030 all the way down to whatever this was, around 14.20. So it came in a decent percentage. So with this candle forming yesterday, it showed you into and you could look at it when it did it from like 3 to 4. I was like, wow, let me be in the SPYs and the Qs besides a few things. So that was my mistake. And then today you have a little bit, now it's right back here. So if the active bears want to stay in control here, okay, just say, you can almost draw your line like this now. They need to reject price here at 1654. If all of a sudden it starts getting above 1654, people will say, hey, Red Dog, doesn't this look like a descending trend line here where, descending channels sometimes break to the upside, which could happen if it gets above this. And then all of a sudden, that's a new one. So here's one active sequence that peaked and ended, and here's another active sequence that needs to be rejected here to continue down. So that's how I kind of envision and look at things, and if this, then that, if that, then this, what's leading what. Obviously, oil's been a leading indicator, and the reason why I think we're up today is because some of the inflation data out of Europe, okay, came in softer, so the DAX is up 1.4%, which is also leading our futures a little bit. So all these things have to be thought about when you're thinking about your decision-making process on an active basis where you get paid monthly or quarterly for a living. Okay, then obviously you have your intermediate mind frame, your long-term mind frame, but you have to be able to separate all of them so this way you can make the right decisions on what's happening at the moment that you're looking at and what type of trade you're in. So anyway, this is your descending trend line here. So it gets above 1654, and hey, that may tell you that perhaps the market has the bounce won't be as feeble. It could be a little bit better. How negative is the oscillator now? Well, it went out minus 56 with the futures up 35. It's probably going to be like minus 20. Okay, and then if you want to look at a few stocks like Apple, what did Apple show us yesterday? Apple actually had a green close. Okay, so it wasn't that weak and gave you a little bit of a doji. So I would say, hey, look at Apple here. Okay, if Apple can get above and stay above this 163.56, maybe there's room towards this. What's this low here? This low is 166.25. So this would be a decent oversold bounce, right? Apple was as high as 176, went to 159, held the gap here, held it. If you hold the gap and not fill it, that means buyers are still defending price. So this could be, if it for clue for today, if all of a sudden Apple gets above 163.56 and can't hold it and comes in, it's a little bit more of a feeble bounce. If it stays above it and there's more buy pressure, then you better either you're playing it for an oversold bounce towards 166. But if you're looking at short Apple, because everyone out there is saying how to go to 155 or lower, then you better be careful that you wait a little bit. Where's Apple right now? Somebody want to tell me while I'm doing that? So Apple will be a clue for today. Apple right now is, I would bet without even looking at it, it's probably like, where is it? Like probably 163-ish, or maybe it's above that little pivot. Apple's at 163.10. So Apple's not showing relative strength this morning because Apple's at 163.10 below yesterday's high, while the Qs and the SPYs are already above yesterday's high. So Apple's lagging a little bit. Just a minor thing to notice here at 6:49 in the morning. Obviously, that could change. And then you look at Tesla, though, okay, which has some news. Tesla right now is at 291.30. So if you go back to Tesla, which I lost money trying to be long yesterday, but again, is what it is. Okay, Tesla yesterday broke below 287, kind of held this 286 area, and is above 287.74. So right now, Tesla is showing relative strength because if it's at 291, well above yesterday's high. So I would look at that for clues. Could Tesla hold the strength and continue higher? That might show that there's more appetite for risk and help the tape. If it opens up and starts to, fade, no. So that, all these little things are what I connect the dots with in my head in order to, figure things out. Let's see what Oxy's doing. Oxy has been great. It's down 95 cents this morning. Okay. That's probably because oil is down. So, you look at USO, is oil down? Yeah, oil's down 1.5%, so it makes some sense for Oxy to be down. So again, and then now you got to think if oil's down, probably part of the reason the futures are up because oil is down because we're scared of inflation. That means yesterday the SPYs were a little bit better than the Qs, so maybe the Qs will be a little bit better than the SPYs today, and maybe even like an ARC or an XBI, will be better. So these are all the ways you connect your dots. And, I put this in a note every day. It goes out to Red Level All Access, and we discuss it on the Alpha team, and they get to see everything live. And, we try and connect the dots, listen to some music, drink some iced coffee, and make sure the day runs smooth. I'm out of here 11:30. I take a Peloton class. I go back in my sauna. I refresh the brain. Then I show up to see what I'm still in, what I might have got stopped out at, trade the clothes, and do it all again. So the main thing you need to take away from this is you got to do the same thing every day, and you have to do it efficiently and effectively in a way you enjoy it. Otherwise, you won't want to do it. You can't do a job you don't love because, what does your grandma and grandpa say? If you're happy at what you do, you're going to do it well. I don't know if that's their voice, but anyway, it is my Nona's birthday, so happy birthday, Nona. We're going out for a little dinner tonight, and then the kids have school on Thursday, so I love September. September comes in, it's like another semester. Even though I don't have school anymore, I still feel the excitement of kind of like another new year. It's like January where new football season, you got fantasy, gets a little cooler out, and it's just like a new way to get back to business. Okay, you're back from vacations, you're in your seat, and you better make sure that you have a process and a plan that you enjoy so you can do it, and make some money in the fourth quarter, because typically the fourth quarter is my best quarter no matter what happens, just because I'm not much more prepared, and I'm a pretty prepared guy as it is. All right, I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Red Dog out, 6:30 Club in the bank. Cheers to you, and we'll see if the early strength holds, fades, and where it can go.